Those days. I remember those days.
Hello, Vinyl Community. This is Tommy, and welcome to another musical adventure. Today's adventure is a little bit of a discussion. It's been 1 week now since Record Store Day 2023, and I want to give you guys some of my thoughts. You probably noticed, if you watch my channel regularly, that I did not do a video for Record Store Day this year, and a lot of times I do. And I didn't do one this year, and there's a reason for that. If you're not a regular follower of my channel, this is a great opportunity for me to go ahead and ask you guys, you're so used to this on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Please. Doesn't do anything except help me out, which, I like the idea of helping me out. We should all help each other out. So there's a lot of videos, there's a lot of discussions, there's a lot of thoughts about Record Store Day. The reason I did not do a Record Store Day video this year is plain and simple. I didn't go out this year for Record Store Day. Kind of. I say I didn't go out. I kind of didn't go out, and I'll explain that as well. But, looking over this year's list and regular followers of my channel, I usually will do, when the list comes out, I'll do a live stream or something where I talk about the list. Somebody commented, like, it's just you reading a list. Well, yeah, it's a live stream. I mean, the idea is that we interact. So I felt it was kind of a weird comment to make. But, it was just like, the thing about Record Store Day, it really evokes a lot of mixed emotions in people. And everybody seems to be, I say everybody, not everybody, but, people that are loud, people that are vocal about it, they're very vocal about it. And particularly the naysayers. And so, and this year's Record Store Day was quite interesting. Based on a lot of your videos and what I saw out there, there was a lot of people that came out for Record Store Day this year. It was a very successful Record Store Day, I think, by all accounts. If anybody that watches my channel is a record store owner or contributes to, some of that, you can comment down there, let me know. But I think from everything I read, saw, there was a lot of mainstream sort of attention given to Record Store Day, more so than in years past. And I think one of the big driving factors this year was the Taylor Swift release. And a lot of you probably picked that up. But that Taylor Swift release seemed to really bring out a lot of folks. I know that talking to another friend of mine whose channel you should be watching, Sam St. John. Sam, hi Sam. Sam went out. He's got a small store where he lives, and he went out. And he wasn't like an early bird or anything. He didn't get there like extremely early. But he did get there, and there was a lot of people in line, as he said, and a lot more than usual. And somebody came out and announced, hey, we're sold out of the Taylor Swift. And a lot of people that were behind him in line left because they weren't there. They were only there for the Taylor Swift. And someone separately kind of asked me, what my thoughts were on the Taylor Swift release. And I'll say this, I think it's great. I know a lot of the online people that I followed and watched in some of the channels, a lot of the sort of bigger stores got plenty of copies of the Taylor Swift that they didn't run out. So if fans came to Record Store Day just to buy the Taylor Swift album, then they probably had a good shot at getting it. I think the numbers, and again, regular watchers know that I don't pay a lot of attention to the numbers. I don't believe in numbers necessarily, but there were several, like tens of thousands of copies of the Taylor Swift album that was available for Record Store Day. And now I do think they all sold out, particularly the next day when everything shifted to online sales. But my thing about Record Store Day is that I love the idea of it. I know what it represents. I don't particularly enjoy going out and doing it. And here's why. And and maybe I ought to kind of open my horizons a little more. So this is maybe a hard look at myself. But one of the local places that I go to, you get there early, you line up, and you wait 2, 3, 4 hours depending on how early you get there, and they open the doors, and it just becomes a free for all. And people just rush in. They rush to the record store day bins, and it's just like a snatch and grab. A lot of the courtesies that record collectors share, for example, sharing a bin, like the protocol that I've always followed and do is sort of like bowling. When someone's in the next lane and they're about to bowl, you don't walk up and bowl. You let them bowl, and then you take your turn. It's a courtesy thing. You're not bowling at the same time. Now, a lot of these courtesies have kind of gone out the window in recent years, and that's for everything. And I've noticed that more and more. But my record etiquette has always been that if you're flipping through a bin somewhere in a store, then that's, for all intents and purposes, is your bin until you move to the next bin or whatever. Now, and I'm not saying that if somebody's flipping through a bin and you're kind of looking over their shoulder and you see something and you can say, "Hey, excuse me, can I grab that record?" I think that's acceptable if you're fine. I wouldn't reach over and just grab the record or whatever, but that etiquette thing is very important. I think think it's sort of, it's just cool to be cool, and I think we should follow that as collectors. I think the other thing as collectors, though, too, I think that we should rejoice that there is an interest in vinyl, because it's just going to maintain the thing that we love. I mean, those of us that have been doing this for a while and love collecting records, it's just a part of who we are. I think that it's encouraging that in 2023 we can have a record store day that is just huge and bring massive amounts of people out, because that just ensures that there's going to be records for us. That, I've never been a big fan of that, and I want it to only be for like the select few people, and like, I'm all about people being interested in the genre or into the thing, and I know there's a lot of opinions about that. I don't try to come down on people that are just starting out, and maybe they get a cheaper turntable. I've never been one of those people that's sort of like, you have this turntable and it's not a good one. I always try to warn people when they ask me that they want to get into record collecting. I try to tell them, here's the thing about record collecting. It's a commitment. What are your motivations for doing it? Are you doing it to collect? Are you doing it because you love the music? Like, and I've talked about this stuff on my channel before. Like, what are your reasons for doing this? Now, if you're doing it because of a sound quality, or because there's a pursuit of, enjoying the music or hearing the music a certain way, then you be prepared to spend some money. That you're not going to just be able to go down to Walmart or even your local grocery store or whatever it may be and buy, a $50 turntable. You're not going to get the enjoyment out of the record that you're supposed to get. And so, if it's a novelty thing and it's just about, I'm going to my dorm and I'm going to enjoy playing records, you know what? By all means, do it. And I know that there's a lot of purists that are sort of like, "Oh, you're tearing up the record," and all that stuff. But my thought to that is that those of us that go out there and we buy, 60-year-old Beatle albums that probably belonged to somebody's aunt when they were 12 years old, they weren't exactly playing these things on high-end turntables. So let's be realistic about it in that sense. I buy records because I want to enjoy the music, and I've talked about that here before. It's about the music for me. If your motivation is because you're a collector and because, I'm buying this because it's part of my collection and that I'm building, that's great too. I mean, there's something there for everyone, and far be it for me to be the guy to point my finger and say, hey, you're doing this for the wrong reasons, or whatever. Yeah, Dylan at Noble Records, did a video last year where he talked about his record store debut, and he sort of mentioned the flipper. We all know the flipper, and I think Dylan said it best. He said, nobody likes the flipper doesn't like the flipper. And that may be true. But, whatever the reason be, I get it. Like, that's one of the big things with Record Store Day that people sort of really come down about. And they're like, ugh, those people ruin it for me. But my thing is this, too. I mean, if they put the list out far enough in advance, you have plenty of time to think about and to prepare for what you want, what you don't want, all of those things. And then you make a game plan accordingly. Now, if there's a record that's coming out on Record Store Day and you have to have it and it's very limited, then you know what? You gotta play the game. Get in line, get up, and go wait. I've done it before, and I'll probably do it again depending on the release. This year's list did not have that for me. Now, there were a couple of things that I wanted. I'm going to show them to you here in a moment. But they weren't enough to just ensure like I was going to get up at 3 or 4 in the morning and go wait in line. Now, the waiting in line part for me is part of the fun. I do enjoy the fellowship of Record Store Day. I'm usually, most of the time, I'm by myself on Record Store Day. So I don't have I've gone to Record Store Day before with friends, and I do enjoy that a whole lot. And I would get up for that, like, if that were the case. But this year I did not have that. And so it's just me. And so, usually when I go by myself and I wait in line, I'll meet people and talk to them, and we'll chat about things and usually have some really interesting conversations. As a matter of fact, there's been a couple of times that I've been turned on to music, new music for me, just from Record Store Day line conversations. But I feel like once the doors open and Record Store Day is on, it's just a free-for-all. Now, I probably could try going to some different stores that may run things differently. I know there's a store locally that when they do Record Store Day, people line up. But when they let people into the doors, it's a line, a single file line. They go through, get what they want. And it's, you're going in order, all of that stuff. And so some of your stores may do it that way. I think that's a good way to do it. I don't enjoy the rigmarole of the snatch and grab, like jump in, and you have to be real quick, and it just never is successful for me. And I always feel just kind of ugh at the end of that. So this year for Record Store Day, there were a couple of titles that I was interested in, and I felt like there was a very good chance that I could find them online. And I know some of you are screaming now, well, that's the whole, not the purpose of Record Store Day. You're supposed to support your local record store. And my answer to that is I do. Year round, I do. So I am one of those people that I'm like, you don't see me at record stores only on Record Store Day. If you watch my channel, I'm always going to record stores. And part of the fun for me is the dig. Going in and actually looking at what the store has. I don't get that opportunity on Record Store Day. Record Store Day is all about going in and getting the record that you're after, that's on your list, and getting out of there. Because, and I know a lot of stores do specials, and there's different things, and it's sort of like they create the atmosphere that it's a hangout or a party and all that, and that's fine too. I'm not really into that either. I enjoy, sort of, my thing is maybe I'm just like a great lawn record store hunter. I do enjoy the record crawls that I do with my friends, once a year, that again, you can go back and watch on my channel. And I enjoy watching when you guys do those videos. Some of my favorite videos is when you get a few of the collectors together and they all go out on a nice record crawl, is what I call it, where you hit several stores and all that stuff. But the fun of it for me is, going into the store and looking. And you don't get that on Record Store Day. Record Store Day is just about that stuff. At least it is for me. And so what I did this year, I had some out-of-town guests that was visiting me, and we went down to the town, and I went into the record store and just later in the day and popped in to say, you know what, if it's there, if the records I want are there, I'm just going to buy them, and that's fine. And so I kind of skipped the mania And I was able to go in, and they had one copy of the record that I wanted. Bought it, checked out, easy as pie, whatever. We did it. And then the next day, I hopped online and bought a couple of other things. And I'll just show you guys real quickly. I mean, there's nothing really revelatory about this, but I picked up the Amanda Shires and Jason Isbell Record Store Day release. They were the ambassadors to Record Store Day, the Sound Emporium EP. I am an Isbell fan. It's a 4-song EP, and I'll show you guys a standard black vinyl. It's got 2 songs by Amanda Shires, and we're actually, one song, Old Habits, and she does the Richard Thompson song, B Swing. Jason Isbell has a new song, Hired Gun, and then sort of a new version of his song, Tour of Duty. It's pretty cool because side 2 is etched. That beautiful etching there. You guys, I hope, can see through all the reflection of everything. So I ordered that, or from a store that I've used before, and they do good work, and spun it and really liked it. One of the other things I grabbed was that has not come in yet. It should probably come in this week. Was the Todd Rundgren Something Anything. I confirmed that Chris Bellman cut it, and that was enough for me. Todd Rundgren fans know that his records, particularly the 70s records, weren't really the best sounding records in the world, and I'm interested to see what Bellman does with it because I enjoy his work. The other thing that I was after, and this isn't going to be a big surprise, but this is the thing that I was able to walk into the store and buy, was the Red Rose Speedway, Paul McCartney and Wings. There's the sticker on it, the Record Store Day sticker. The Half Speed Master. The big thing in this was that I have all the others in this series, McCartney, Ram, Wildlife. I actually, prefer, I think, the 2 record edition that came out a few years ago. This is an album that's been out. So, a lot of people were quite surprised that it got reissued yet again. And it probably didn't need for a reissue or call for it. But one of the things about it for me was that, again, I have the others in the series. I do like the way these sound. Come with this great certificate. Some of you on the other channels have, with the embossing there, have shown this, so it's nothing really new. But I do like the sound of it. It's a great way to have the sort of original album with it being, and I'm going to show you guys the vinyl, standard black vinyl. Nothing fancy there. And it did come with a reproduction of the book. And I'm not going to flip through the whole book for you guys. This, you've seen it. So, I mean, it is what it is. But, yeah, it's a nice reproduction of the book that came in the album. And it does have it's in the gatefold. So it's a nice reproduction of Red Rose Speedway. And I like the way these sound. And what I've really essentially been doing is replacing a lot of my old beat up copies with these new ones. And I think the sort of series, and I'm fully expecting Band on the Run to be the next one, that he's going to continue kind of doing this as much as he can. Because Paul McCartney's not going to miss an opportunity to sell you another version of a record. But I do like the way they sound. They're cut at Abbey Road, cut by Miles Showell. And so that was on my list. And like I said, that was it. There's a couple of other things I was probably interested in, and I kind of said, my view is that I'll just see if they're around, and in a few months, if they are, then I may pick them up. If they're gone, they're gone. There was nothing really I couldn't live without. Everything I was able to get my hands on, and relatively easily. So, if there's a title that comes out, I think Record Store Day has done a good job the last couple of years at making a good diverse list. There's something for everybody. And like I said, that's the whole point, is to get people out and to celebrate the buying records. And so you're not going to hear me on my channel. I'm not going to be one of those people that's going to gripe and complain that Record Store Day is like, crazy. I don't like it. But you know what? You don't have to go. No one makes anyone go. I get the gripes. I hear the gripes. I understand why there's people against it. And I respect that. But you don't have to go. Like, it's simple. No one's making anyone go to record store day. That's just my view on it. And so the louder you gripe about it and the louder you complain about people doing it, so what? I mean, I've just discovered that I can complain about a lot of things in the world. It's not going to make anything better or worse. It's just going to make me feel like, okay, I'm griping. I mean, if it makes you feel good to gripe, I guess that's fine. But, it's just, I don't get any enjoyment out of it personally. But so you're not going to ever see videos of me coming on and complaining about things like Record Store Day just because, I think in the big picture, it's fine. And, I think records have become available and that, if you want them, you can get them. That's kind of my thing. And I think in the last year or so, I've seen that kind of level out a little bit. Now, maybe a couple of years ago, there was a little bit of, I think either between the pandemic and the pressing plants being overwhelmed, there's a little bit of fear of missing out. And a lot of that was driving some stuff, but I think that's kind of leveled out. I've seen a lot of stuff come back around. I'm not going to go into detail about that. This video has gone on long enough. Record Store Day, my thoughts overall, it's a good thing. You don't have to go out to enjoy Record Store Day. You can get some of these records. You just have to have your little online people. Rowdy's over here. He jumped up and decided to lay down. We're going to go listen to some records. So that's what we're going to do. Comment down below. What are your thoughts? Thanks for taking time to watch the video. I really appreciate it. Hey, we'll see you all again next time. Thanks for watching.